You've got high standards, right? You're not like one of those guys with no standards. You got high standards. You're not going to let the world see what you do until you got it right. Except maybe you aren't releasing that much or anything. So I have been a creative professional for over 25 years. And because I love learning new things, I am usually at varying stages on varying projects. In some things I'm a beginner, some things I'm an intermediate, and some things I'm proficient or an expert. But one thing remains the same. What I'm learning, I usually need to use right away. So how do I set my standards? It varies. So, do you need to lower your standards? What does that even mean? Well, let's find out right after this.
Seize the sword.
Welcome everybody to Creativity Control. I'm your guide, Michael Gilboe. I'm here to help you through all those things that you just didn't learn enough of at school. Things dealing with practice, promotion, productivity, and purpose. Because these things are what's going to help move you forward. Okay, so I am really glad that you stopped by today. These things are going to help you out so much. All right, and today's topic is in the practice area. The practice is how we learn, and is it time for you to lower your standards? And you might be asking, why is this part of practice? Well, you're going to find out. But first, I'd love you to comment below. What are your impossibly high standards? Okay, those things you're trying to achieve that you know are impossibly high, but you're going for them. Or if for some reason you are a person who doesn't have a lot of standards, I guarantee, although this is about how to lower your standards, it's also going to be how to set your standards. Let me get it out of the way. No surprise, but this is, somewhere in the first 10 episodes. I'm a beginner at vlogging. Yep, and yet I'm still putting this out for you. It gives me the hives, but I'm doing it. Okay, I practiced for months. I researched. I looked that this area seemed to be pretty open. People talking about creativity of all sorts and how to help. And I've done theater, I've done voiceover work, I've done a lot of these things that relate to what I'm doing, but I haven't done vlogging. And I kept trying to get it perfect. At a certain point, I realized I had to push forward because the things I was practicing at that point weren't moving me any closer to what I actually needed to still learn. And what I knew I needed to learn is how to do this regularly and on a schedule. I know I have done enough of the studying. I know that YouTube looks for regularity. They need that consistency, putting things up. Hopefully, my information is more important to you than everything being all perfect. So hopefully I can start getting that to you. And what I needed to learn is actually how to get it done fast. Okay? And there's compromises I make. I do 2 of these a day, or not a day, once a week, because that's where I can squeeze in the time to do these. And I've got to learn how to make it right. And no, everything is not perfect yet. I forgot to bring a second shirt today, so I'm wearing a t-shirt. Let me know if you like me a little more informal, but I did not have time in my schedule to run back and get another shirt. You may have noticed that we've switched to a blue curtain. I hated that pink thing at first, but I didn't quite realize it, and I wasn't going to take the time to redo those things. I felt it was more important to get on to new content. At some point, you just got to accept that it's time to push out there. And I am still looking for things I can improve, but I need to find things that I can improve within the boundaries that I have, which is I have one day to record these. So as I get more and more comfortable, I will start incorporating in more and more things that I know I can bring in on that schedule. But I need an audience. I need to get some feedback from you before I can learn. I need to do this for real because I'm sure as a creative, sometimes you know that practice at a certain point sometimes just becomes repetition. As I said before, I need to put myself under the real pressure that this is for real. Okay, in another area, I'm a little bit more intermediate, and that comes to dealing with issues of productivity. Okay, I have pushed beyond beginner, but this is still relatively new to me. Although I did a ton of stuff and I was very productive in my entrepreneurial youth, it was rarely due to any system or design. As I've gotten older, as I settled in a little bit to a traditional jobby job, I lost some of those things that naturally drove me forward. And I needed to look for a system that could put that productivity into place. Now, I'm not going to tell you I'm an expert at this yet, but I'm learning hard, and I'm learning and taking in how to apply what people are doing to a creative mind. And, big secret, at a certain point, especially in this intermediate game, sometimes the best way you can learn is to teach. So, as much as I'm doing this to help you, I am also doing this to help me. Okay? And that's my way of getting it out there, and I know what I'm working on. Okay? Number 3, I've been working on getting my music out. And in that area, I have been a mixing professionally songwriter, a singer, a performer, various things for most of my adult life. This is an area that I consider myself quite proficient in. So my standards are a little bit different. I do not want to release anything that's not fantastic. But I still have to decide at a certain point when I'm just trying to be a perfectionist and I'm just procrastinating on letting other people hear it, or if it truly is ready. But again, thankfully, part of why I'm working on music again is this opportunity to truly get the music out there without guardians, the major labels, etc., having to say okay, didn't really exist before for me. So I'm giving it another shot. I also know that I do have kind of something in place, which is like the videos. If I'm going independent, people like you to be somewhat regular. So I've been setting up systems in place to put something out every 3 weeks. And I know I'm proficient, I know I can move things forward, and I'm working with that same thing. I'm figuring out what I can do and meet that goal. And those goals, those end things, sometimes determine what my standards are. And I do have different standards there. I would not put out the equivalent of a pink curtain on my music at this point. But I don't expect these yet to have the supreme polish. Oh gosh, there's so many things I'd like to do for you guys yet, but I just don't have the time. I can imagine it, but it's not there yet. What I'm trying to say is what I need to do next influences where I practice, what I'm practicing, and what I'm trying to improve on. We got to get out there and put ourselves out to the world at some point. I hate to tell you, but in this day and age, but I don't really think ever, did we as creative people or as artists get to emerge from our cocoon fully formed and realized. At some point, we got to take our lumps. And at some point, we all have to accept that we're not always our best audience or our best judge of what is good. Along with this idea of helping you find your standards or perhaps lower your standards, I really hope I'm touching a chord with some of those people who are so afraid to put something out because they keep seeing that better step. Okay, and this is really what I'm saying about lower your standards. I'm not saying don't improve. But if you're procrastinating, putting stuff out just because you see, oh, wait, in 2 weeks, I'll be better. In 2 weeks, I will be better. In 2 weeks, this will improve. And yes, it's going to. And maybe you just need to assess at what stage you're ready to put stuff out. Maybe if you are truly a beginner, your first steps are just finding a feedback group online to let somebody else hear it. Maybe it is a commercial release. But you got to figure out that you're always going to be better. If you enjoy what you do, that's just the name of the game. Find out when to move on. So I have a couple I've actually got, I think some of these people are attributed these quotes, but all 4 of these you probably are used to as a general truism. So I'm going to kind of do a quick dispellation. I'm going to dispel these myths, dispensation, whatever. I'm going to dispel some of these, at least in a specific context, for you moving forward. It's quality, not quantity, that matters. Seneca said this. Okay, and we've heard it from everywhere. Okay, you may not need to put out quantity. Quality does matter. You're not going to develop fans without quality. But you're not going to get better by working on one damn thing, making it purpose. Okay, there is a learning curve. I know this as a musician, and it relates to whatever art. There are people who will tweak their mixes till kingdom come. But, let's say they spend 8 hours getting the basic mix and then 20, 30, 40 hours tweaking it to perfection, and it's not quite there yet. Okay, the vast majority of the learning curve came in that first 4 to 8 hours. Everything they're doing tweaking is now just kind of spinning a wheel, and they're just backtracking. You are much better off going back, starting it from scratch, starting a new thing, and getting better with that first 8 hours. You're wasting your time and spinning your wheels. If you do more, you will get better. And there's certain fields where if you do more, you just don't know. Like things that are short, poems for songwriting for me, writing more. Yes, I think I talked about through bits. I've been writing a lot more. And again, my girlfriend asked, yes, but are they good? And I said, you know what? I am writing more crap lyrics than I have ever written. But I'm also writing way more good ones. So don't forget that you can use quantity to get to the quality. Tony Robbins, pretty famous for saying, if you want to change your life, you need to change your standards. I'm going to agree and say maybe those standards need to be brought down. He's talking to generally a different group of people than persnickety artists who are just unwilling to let go until they have met their own impossibly high standards. This one is one of my favorites. I'm going to read this because, we've all heard the truism, but this is actually attributed to somebody. It's attributed to Cyril Connolly, who says, better to write for yourself and have no public than to write for the public and have no self. A lot of us feel this one. And there is some truth. All of these have some truth. It's taken too far. When this is used as a defense to suck, it's not good. And you all know those people. I'm going to write what I like. I'm going to write what's good for me. I'm not going to take criticism. I'm not going to try to improve. I'm not going to try to get better. I know what I am doing is the awesome. That's when this turns into an artist's dagger to the heart. I'm reading this one. Ashley Lorenzana. If you are going to do something, strive to do it better than anyone else. Do it all the way. If you are going to half-ass it, why bother? Again, like all these, I'm not saying there isn't some truth in it. But when we're dealing with a subjective art, doing it better than anyone else is, again, totally subjective. And who knows? Maybe you already are. You'll never know. But you don't get to a certain point without putting yourself out there. So yes, have your goals, but realize that you need to be willing to face the heat at some point. All right, it is assignment time. Okay, for today's assignment, get out your journals. Come on, you got one, right? Get out your journals and write down one thing that you want to improve. If you're already releasing stuff, make it the one thing you'd like to be in your next thing. If you haven't been releasing stuff, I want you to boil it down to that one thing. Fixing one thing will make you confident enough to set it out to the world. But here's the thing. I don't want you to just find that one thing to improve. I want you to write down what your criteria is for achieving that. Whatever that is, find that one thing and quantify it. Then sign a pledge with yourself to follow through and release your work. Okay? So, I hope you're enjoying this. I hope you're getting a lot out of it. Some of these early things I'm doing may seem very basic, but they're kind of the foundation that I'm laying everything on. And make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of the future things I got coming up. Hit that bell, that bell that makes you remember. Go ahead and tell a friend. And tell a friend so that you can be accountable for someone. Say it to somebody you want to go through this together, this journey of self-improvement. and hold each other accountable. So don't just tell a friend for me, because I would love to have more people that I can help out. Tell a friend for you. Okay, until next episode, stay creative.